Dreaming of filling your sketchbook with lots of loose, joyful watercolour flowers? Grab just a handful of paints and paint this one with me now. You do need a watercolour sketchbook, and I like one with a cold press textured page. And the sketchbook I'm working in at the moment is one I just found on Amazon. It's the Lightwitch brand, and I've never tried it before, but I have to say I am rather liking it. So let's start by sketching out some little flowers in a lovely glass vase. Now, I do have a reference photo that I'm being inspired by, but I really have absolutely no intention of trying to replicate this exactly. I'm only looking at the photo just to give me some ideas of the sort of flowers that I might like to include in this little arrangement of my own. So it's rather fun because you're kind of making up your own arrangement, just choosing the flowers that suit. So we've really simplified our composition. Let's also simplify the palette by using a very limited one. I'm actually using a set of 6 Holbein granulating watercolours. It's a set that describes itself as the flower set, so this is quite appropriate. But you definitely don't need to have these specific colours. What I would suggest though is to try working with this limited palette. Before you start, grab a handful of colours that you fancy and see if you can create the painting just sticking to those. I've chosen to use my flat brush to put in some of these poppy shapes. I think the flat brush can be quite nice for that. You don't always need a round brush because petals aren't always those sort of daisy-shaped petals. And I'm going to make my poppy nice and red because I do have a colour called Trumpet Vine Red in this set. I like to start with a little bit of water first, not in the whole shape. I like to have a little bit of variety so that when I put the paint down, I get some movement of those pigments and a little bit of variation in the colour, even if I'm just using one single red, which I'm doing here. It's not my favourite way to paint, but I have to say with these granulating pigments, you get a lot of interest from them anyway. And the other thing I'm doing there is I'm blotting out some of the colour, which you can do either with a thirsty brush or with your kitchen towel or rag, just to pull out a little bit of a highlight, which again is another way of adding a little bit more variety and creating a few kind of highlights on there. I've also dropped in the colour from my set. Is called Mimosa Yellow. If you ask me, it's more like a green, and this is what I'm talking about with a limited palette, where if I was painting this with my whole palette to choose from, I probably would have spent a whole lot of time pondering all the different yellows that I could possibly use. But with only these colours, I can make the decision quickly because there's really only one choice for the centre of the flower here. I drew out 2 other larger flower shapes in my little composition, and I want to do those in a different colour. I'm also going to swap brushes to my mop and create a slightly different shape to the petals. Give this one a little bit more texture. So I started with a bit of water again, and I'm putting in this colour, which happens to be called Cherry Blossom Pink. Now, of course, you could be using any colours to do this, and this is the lovely thing about painting flowers. You just, change the colours and you've got a completely different arrangement. But again, I'm going for this same idea of making sure I've got a fair bit of variety. And this is variety that's coming just from the paint itself, from the fact that I've got varying amounts of wetness and dryness on the paper, which is changing the strength of the pigment. But I've also chosen to drop in, while it's still wet, a little bit of that Trumpet Vine Red, just to give it a little bit more depth and dimension, to kind of suggest perhaps the centre of the flower or some of the shadows created by the multiple petals on top of each other. This is again where if you've got a reference and it helps you, you can have a look for those sort of shadow shapes, but you can also just wing it. When you're putting together your own little flower arrangement like this, one of the most helpful tips I can give you is to try and think about the centers of the flowers, because if you're drawing them yourself or you're kind of making it up yourself, we often have a tendency to put all the flowers facing the same direction, which gives it a bit of an unnatural feel. So it's quite nice if you can give it a little bit of thought to trying to turn the little heads or the little faces of these blooms so that they're all pointing in different directions. I noticed that last pale pink flower that I painted is very, very wet. I do want to come in and put a few more dark accents like I did for the first one, but I want to let those pigments settle, because if I do it now, it's just going to turn it into more of a red flower. So I've decided to play with one of the other colors from my limited palette. And this is a light blue. It's called Jade Vine Blue, if you're interested. And I'm just suggesting one of these little 5-petaled flowers and I've added a couple of them. So I'm using my brush to create the petal shape and trying to remember that the flowers are not facing me directly face on. So because they're at a bit of an angle, you won't see the same perfect petal shape all the way around. Some of the petals will look distorted because of the perspective we are viewing them at. So if you're drawing a few wonky petals, you're actually doing rather well, because you need a few wonky petals to give that suggestion of the sort of the way the flower is sitting in the vase. I used the mimosa yellow for the centre of my red poppy. I'm going to use the same colour for the centre of these little flowers. They're little flowers I've made up, so the centre could be any colour. But again, it's nice to know that I've got a very limited range to choose from. And it's also really nice to repeat colours throughout your composition, because it really gives your painting a little harmonious feel. I think that's given my pink flower a little bit more time for those pigments to settle. It's still slightly damp, so I should get a slight softening off. And this is the sort of thing that is wonderful to experiment with in something like a little sketchbook project like this, because it's a little bit lower stakes somehow when you're playing in your sketchbook. It's a chance for you to see whether you actually made the right judgment call there, to see whether your paper was damp enough or not. And if it's not quite right, it's not the end of the world. You know, it's a sketchbook project. That's exactly what they're for. I've swapped brushes for my rigger because I'm putting in this sort of central stem of the flowers that I created to add into this arrangement. The sort of thing I'm imagining is, I suppose, a sort of a lilac or wisteria kind of flower. So I'm going to add little petal shapes to these stems, but it's quite handy to put them in. But I prefer to do it not as one solid line, because you tend to, some of the stem is going to be hidden by the flowers. Sometimes there is light and shadow on the stem, so to break up the line a bit actually is quite good at suggesting that. So I'm using the purple colour that came from this little limited palette set, and just using the tip of my brush to dot in little petal shapes. I'm always so fascinated by how easy it is to suggest flower petals, that you really can let the brush do so much of the work. Again, I like to start with a little bit of water, so that when I put the paint down, I'm going to have slightly lighter versions of the colour where the paper is damper, and I'm going to have darker versions of the colour where the paper is dry, and it'll also create slightly different textures there. I don't want to leave it with just one single wash of colour. So I've gone back, I actually chose my rigger because I want to use nice concentrated paint. This is still the purple, but it's really nice and thick and concentrated, and I'm dropping in little darker marks into the petals that I've created. But because the initial wash is slightly dry, and because my paint is much thicker, some of those marks are going to stay reasonably distinct. They're going to soften their edges into the existing lighter purple marks, but you should be able to see them as little strong points of dark. And I think this is quite important too. In a little flower arrangement like this, you do want a nice variety of lights and darks. I decided I'd like a sort of a greenish grey colour to paint the glass. So I'm going to see what I can mix up from the colours on this palette. I'm starting with a bit of that mimosa yellow, which to me is far more like a green. And then one of my favourite colours is this dark Equinox green grey in this palette. And I think a bit of the blue. I'm really just playing. It doesn't matter what colour I come up with to suggest sort of the shadows on the glass. You'd be surprised. You can get away with all sorts of colours, but I'm just going to start by suggesting the outline, and then I'm going to soften that off with a lot of water. That means I'm going to rinse off my brush and then dab it a little on my kitchen towel and use the dampness on the brush to kind of pull the colour from that line into the centre, just so that it creates some of a suggestion of the vase. I don't really want it to be a perfect flat wash. I find that terribly dull. And particularly with these granulating colours, so many more interesting things happen if you give it a bit more water and a bit more space to do its magic. I have to say that in this particular sketchbook, the pages are, it is cold press texture, but every second spread is slightly less textured because, like with most papers, both sides are not identical. So this spread happens to be a little bit smoother than I'd like. And if you're working with something like granulated paints, they are actually better on the more textured paper. But again, it's just a sketchbook project. This sort of thing doesn't really matter. While that sort of vase section was still damp, I used the darkest greeny colour in this little palette to suggest some of the stems. I like to do it while it's still damp because it's going to soften out those edges and kind of blur them and remind us that we are seeing them through the glass. But I also don't want to have it in just a single colour, so I've used some of the lighter greenish colour, that mimosa yellow, to do a few stem suggestions too, and I really like that. I think it's always a good idea to use more than one colour to paint a particular object. In fact, it's something I think the next time I paint this I'm going to do a little bit more of. It's very handy in a limited palette like this to make sure you've got a nice strong dark, and this dark green grey, Equinox green grey, is the one I'm using, nice and thick, to put in little dark accents in between the flowers, because you do want a nice counter change between those really light flowers and the dark points in between them, which is kind of the shadowy foliage. And without those, you kind of don't notice the edges. You can kind of lose the edges of some of the petals. So this is kind of the final finishing stage of the little arrangement, just to figure out where you'd like a little leaf to appear and let your brush do the work. You know, our round brushes create rather marvellous leaf shapes if you just give them a little bit of a flick. So I've added a leaf here and there sticking out of the arrangement, and I've made sure I've got some nice darks in between my blooms. Now, what about a background? To be honest, you don't need one. You know, you could decide that you're done once you've painted your little arrangement of flowers and leave the page blank. I think that would be perfectly lovely. You could just do a bit of splatter. I find it hard to resist the splatter, I must admit. I often finish off a little floral like this just by adding a bit of splatter to the white sections of the page. But for this one, I've still got all these lovely paints on my palette, and I felt like adding a little bit more colour. I want to keep it pale, and that's why I started with the very pale colour that is from this palette. I don't normally go for a pale colour, but this one, I have to say, is growing on me, this cherry blossom pink. I certainly don't want to go painting the whole of the background, but what I do like to do is to choose little places around the subject just to pop in a little bit of the colour, and then I clean off the brush and use my damp clean brush to soften that colour out into the rest of the page. You can see that if the subject is still not quite dry, you do have a risk of them blending together. Personally, I love it when that happens. So in that left-hand corner where the purple colour has bled out of the little flower shapes and into the pink that I added, I adore that. To me, it feels like sort of sunlight beams, kind of the way you might see it out of the corner of your eye. If you don't like that, then of course just let your painting dry. But I think, you know, once you paint a little bit like that and adopt this sort of freer approach, it can be really quite addictive. And I enjoyed that little touch of purple in the background, so I decided to do a little bit more of it. What I am trying to do is to keep these washes nice and pale, because I want the background to be pale. I think there's one little finishing touch that would be nice, and that is to put the centre of the poppy head in. There were some little dark seeds, so I'm going to choose the darkest colour out of this, which I think is going to be that Equinox Green Grey again, and use my rigger and just dot in some little suggestion of poppy seeds. One final little detail just to draw the eye to that red hero flower in the arrangement. Now, of course, you can paint this with a handful of any of your favourite paints that you happen to have on hand. You really don't need the Holbein granulating ones that I was using. But if you do want to find out a little bit more about this set, I made another video with a project that I think you might enjoy if you've ever wondered how best to go about swatching.